Planning to appear for UPSC CSE but confused about where to start? Look no further. Vision IAS Delhi presents the GS Foundation Course 2025, 2026 and 2027. Avail centralized access to learning with classroom and online resources. Study material that is expert researched and thoroughly analyzed basis the UPSC exam pattern. Personal and individualized guidance every step of the way to cater to your technical and specific needs. Explore the holistic learning modules we have designed for the UPSC CSE aspirant. Batch starts 20th December, 5 p.m. and 17th November, 9 a.m. Offline come live online classes. With the right ingredients, success is yours to have. Enroll today in the Vision IAS GS Foundation Course 2025, 2026 and 2027.
So what is G20 firstly? Is G20 a correct nomenclature? G21 now. Okay. But if you, why G21? But उसमें तो 50 देश है यार. अच्छा. So actually if you see, it's becoming almost how many countries? 100 plus countries. You take European Union and G20 and others so and so. Okay. So it's a huge conglomeration. Now, it started basically as an economic alliance, not as a political alliance, right? But of late, it has taken big shape as a political one. And we have played, as India, we have played it beautifully to our advantage, considering a growth pattern that were taking place on these issues. I would like you to, what is given out is already been given out in a presses, what you flash. The certain points of the takeaways has to be properly should be read by you. I'll tell you as a course what is to be read. But issue is, the significance, the so-called global south, the new dimension of global. You will come across questions to what do you understand by global south? Okay, why is global south so important for this? Earlier it was nothing but the north south, you know what we talk. If you see the division, all the developed countries or the modern countries are on the north. हम सारे साउथ में रह गए थे, ठीक है ना? So now this new term kit, rather than calling them underdeveloped countries or so karke, the global south. Now global south is emerging as an important region all over, not because it is south, because most of the countries are in the developing region out here. जो डेवलप हो गए उनकी तो जीडीपी चल रहा है 1% 2% पे, ठीक है. बट इसके यहाँ पर जो जीडीपी है, सबका ग्रोथ पैटर्न जो है, everything is going above 5-6, including African countries. So there is a huge amount of potential for trade and economic development in this particular area and for interactive processes. And that is why G20 makes a lot of relevance, that because of this, we are becoming emerging as the voice of the global south. Now, not many people are liking this. India should be voice of the global south because it's almost 140 countries, 30 countries, सब मिला जुला कर. So it's a huge thing, but then this how we act as a global unifier. This is expand India's footprint. Third point is very important. Okay, expand India's footprint. Because so far we have actually not taken that effort, frankly speaking. कि that जो अपने आप करते हैं ठीक ठाक रहते हैं सब कुछ है, बाकी हमें क्या करना है करके, ठीक है. But I think taking cue from our Chinese that they are going all over with BRI and ARI and whatnot करके, so we thought हम भी कुछ करते हैं करके. So this is a very good forum that we got it and become the presidency of last year. And Modi and present government, I won't say Modi, but the present government, everybody, including, they worked very beautifully. And we've been able to achieve this so-called print. So the three significance, major significance, becoming a voice of the global south and footprint is working in a big manner. But the issue is that we found lacking, despite being the global south leader in the Arab-Hamas conflict. All countries were expecting that something to be done. Even we couldn't even do something in the Ukraine war. If you see, when the Russians attacked Ukraine, the first thing that the Ukraine ambassador did was to come and plead Modi. Literally plead. It was in a television, if you recollect, during that time. And he's told that, yes, I have requested the Prime Minister to speak to President Putin to exercise his influence. We couldn't. Despite a good relations with Israel, it's only Biden who come and played the show out there. Other countries have played. Qatar is playing a big role there. Egypt is playing a big role there. India is nowhere. So-called voice of the global south also has to be kept in mind. Though Israel actually is not part of the global south because it is a developed country. We don't take him in the south. उसको हम नॉर्थ में डाल देते हैं. But geographically speaking, जो line जाता है, okay. But to exercise, to become a voice, I think we still got a long way. Footprint, definitely, because Indian businessmen and other people are doing pretty well. Okay. This is straight from a precis. But what I want to highlight is that it was founded way back in 1999. It's now almost 24 years. India got for the first time. And I think India did to achieve most of the purpose, that is, plays an important role in shaping and strengthening the global architecture and governance in all major international economies. If at all you ask that what is it you pick up from the purpose is to shaping and strengthening the global architecture, and India has done it quite well for a change. But the challenge that remains out here is that the geopolitical tension between G20 members, the third point. Everybody can come here, go aram se sabko, but the geopolitical tensions that underpin cooperation makes it difficult to achieve consensus on important issues. But despite that, we achieving Delhi Declaration was one of the major achievements that took place. those of you who heard the what do you call this, Amitabh Kant, okay, on the television, okay, explaining that the negotiation went to the last minute, where that's why whether getting G20 or getting a consensus in Ukraine is concerned, okay, it was a very, very major achievement as far as Indian diplomacy is concerned. So the third point of that, in these forums, which is as it is, UN के पास ज़्यादा कोई teeth नहीं है, ठीक है ना, which is an established forum. Now G20 emerged from an economic alliance as far as things are concerned. Where is the teeth to implement it? So the challenge remains is that the geopolitical mindset has to be congruent for any of this decision in the alliances to remain, to basically for it to succeed. And geopolitical congruence and alliance is nothing but your good diplomatic relations, how you handle it. As you come across, we'll discuss the big proposals of the economic corridor and the biofuels, etc. But the fact is that everything is related to the how much you are related on a diplomatic front as far as that country is concerned. So we have succeeded in organizing G20 and conveying this thing. Okay, and why it happens is that there is a limited accountability and transparency. बोल दिया, very soon we'll start getting to next G20 in Brazil. Okay, उसका कुछ और हो जाएगा. But I think what India has done is a follow-up action to have series of conferences and series of meetings, okay, is phenomenal, which Indonesia didn't do. So most of the things in Indonesian declaration has not been accepted, has not found application so far. But we have taken a lot of from Indonesian declaration and put them here in our Delhi declaration. But when I say about the challenges, is basically that implementation of what we actually do in G20 is very strong related to the geopolitical dimensions. So it's not that we have done a treaty or done a Delhi declaration. Now the diplomacy has to work in big manner. So any alliance, any declaration of this nature has this particular issue. And so the way forward is that we have to reach out to members, we have to reach out to non-members, okay, and promote collective action as a sustainable basis. Promote collective action as a sustainable basis. And maintain continuity on issues taken up across presidencies. So what it entails for you, as far as examination point of view, is that you must mug up the Delhi declaration by heart. The salient points. It must just be on your fingertips. The second, the major takeaways of, I'll tell you, of the corridor, etc. You must remember the entire concept very well. I'll come to that. Because it's a collective action. Collective action on a sustained basis. हम अपना डिक्लेयर कर दिए डेली डिक्लेयर करने के लिए, क्या फर्क पड़ता है इधर? Unless we understand the collective dimension of moving, okay, it's not going to see the light of the day. Now, why do you bring African Union into this? We brought African Union that because Africa is the most economically fast forward moving in the continent in the world today. Barring few countries in Africa, almost every country is seeing a good amount of progress because they have been poor for quite some time. The era of colonization in Africa is getting over. There are new governance which are coming up, there are new democratic values which are coming up, new economic laws are coming up, barring 10, 12 states. Most of the African states today are in a relative state of calm and political stableness. It's the right time to enter because Indian economy is also increasing, and for any economy to move and sustain and develop requires a market. Africa gives us a tremendous amount of market for us. Culturally, Otherwise, we are very much aligned. And our business people have remained in Africa, not now. I think we're the earliest guys who went into business in Africa. Then came the colonizers, mind you. Our business footprint in these countries have been more than 500 years, 600 years. So it's high time that African. Other points, as I mentioned to you, for India is that the resources. Africa is huge amount of resources. Whether you talk of minerals, we'll talk of agriculture resources, we talk of, you know, they're filled with resources, ocean resources, forest resources. Okay, so we have to, and we get a lot of difference on these issues. For Africa, obviously, okay, they are looking for a alignment as far as the growth is concerned. किसके साथ हम align कर सकते हैं? And what can be a better country than India? Already, Chinese have made a lot of inroads in Africa. We also started making inroads. But then, well, let's accept the fact that Chinese, because of the political system, the decision-making process is faster, whatever said and done. But that should not deter us to take action. It's जरूरी नहीं कि जो पहले चला गया वो हमेशा जीतेगा. Some people just come, appear for examination, clear it. There are some people who are here for 5-6 years or something. Not besides that. What I want to say is that it's a method we apply. And I think we are entering in a very, very positive manner with a lot of acceptance in the political systems. Already there is a lot of, as far as Chinese engagement are concerned, a lot of African countries have started showing dismay over the Belt and Road Initiative. Sudan has already conveyed its agony. Okay, Egypt also, where the money has been put and they're in the state of indebtedness. So people are trying. So for us, subtly we should play around in such a manner. A lot of people say, sir, we must act against the BRI and so on and so forth. No, it's so difficult to act against BRI because all BRI is more than 10 years old and they already reached 140 countries. They put about $10 billion worth in various, $40 billion, not 10 billion, $40 billion into that with a budgeting of nearly $300 billion. So they've gone in a big way. But either we align with them or you try to in those countries which have already got this thing, like we did it in Sri Lanka. There's no way that we could have given $4 billion of help to them. It was not for the Chinese. If the Chinese were not there, do you think we would have given $4 billion? So we have to work on those lines. So G20 provides a forum for collective leadership. Somebody is asking, sir, हम क्यों नहीं कर सकते, फला नहीं कर सकते? Diplomacy में you just can't go to another country and say कि मैं कुछ करूँगा करके. So all these multilateral forums actually provide you a platform to move inside. Well, say tomorrow you want to go to X country as India so and so. क्यों जाना चाहते हो? अरे हमने decide किया था G20 में as a part of collective thing. So we need to go through. So the advantage of multilateral forums of this nature is that it provides diplomatic access to resolve your geopolitical problems. Okay. This is one of the major outcomes. What does it stand for IMEC? Can somebody say? Now, this was a thought process which is not emerged now, it's an old thought process. But some of the other, because of the problems in the Middle East, we have not dated. And earlier we had good relationship with Afghanistan or Iran. So we are thinking, you must have heard something called a North-South, what do you call? That is from Chabar to up जाएगा ऊपर, ठीक है ना? Chabar in Iran, okay, North-South corridor. When I was in Iran, those days, just in a big manner was going. So the Pakistanis then were trying to, thought this particular North-South corridor to quite an extent. They tried quite a lot on this particular issue, but somehow the other, we couldn't even beat, some of the Chinese, this thing. We took in the Tatars, gave them land, I remember was instrumental. We took the SRs, we gave them land. We took the railways, the etc. Gave them construction facilities there. But our systems, and then came the sanctions, United sanctions on Iran. Okay, and how difficult sometimes. I'll just share one example with you that the Indian foreign minister was in Tehran, and Mr. Natwar Singh. We are both going, me and Ambassador and the Natwar Singh were going to call on the president of Tehran, Iran. So normally the confidential sets are with a security man. He suddenly comes and tells me, we're traveling, and he got a message. He said, the prime minister wants to speak to the foreign minister. I don't know what is it like. So we both got down from the car and we spoke to the prime minister. And on return, from the president's meeting, the foreign minister told me that can you get me an Air Force aircraft? I said, what happened? I want to fall back to India today. I said, sir, you got meetings for next 2 days here. How do you want to fall back? No, I want to fall back. So he fell back and so on. And next day in the Indian television, we saw the foreign minister resigned. Now you'll ask me, what happened? Because Natwar Singh gave a statement in a foreign soil that India is got right to follow an independent foreign policy, and we need not go by US dictates. We should have stopped this statement. The Indian foreign minister lost his job. It's in front of me. So when you say, हम यूं क्यों करना चाहते हैं, why can't we do in Nepal? Why can't we do in zones? There are serious limitations in the geopolitical field. Okay, so we have been trying this particular corridor for a pretty long time, but Saudis will never listen to us because they were the pet pals of Pakistan. This government did a major thing by getting Saudis aligned with us at the cost of Iran. So we have to sacrifice something because Saudis and Iranians don't go together. One is Shia, Iran, and Saudi Arabia is Sunnis. Once we got, and Israel came into line with Saudi Arabia. That is why the Hamas attack took place. So these geopolitical dimensions, when they change rapidly in just about last 1 year, we got an opportunity to push it through. The Chinese were trying to put a panga to it, but somehow they told this is not going to affect BRI. It is not against BRI. And the Americans did help us on this issue. Listen, because they were thinking that if their things come to Europe, because they have a huge business in Europe, this entire thing can also be routed through this place. So it was a significant achievement as far as, and this wouldn't have happened if there was no G20 consensus on this. So IMEC becomes a very big takeaway. But the issue of IMEC is, unlike the BRI of China, which is funded by China, okay, this has to be funded through international monitoring funds, agencies, countries concerned. We already moved ahead. I think the last month we had a meeting in Paris where all the monetary heads of the international agencies, they met IMF, World Bank and other countries. They're already working on it. Since we have proposed the idea, we have to push it. But if it doesn't get the right funding, and if the situation in the Middle East goes bad, okay, after this will also come under serious problems. So the point to note or carry home, okay, for the interview is that the economic, when you ask yesterday I was having a one-to-one with somebody interview, when I asked this question to me, he started saying, sir, it is primarily against the Chinese BRI. Don't make this mistake. Because this has been told around. When you answer in interviews, okay, always start with positive things first. He said, if this happens, now what is the economic corridor? It's a corridor. It will link point A to point B. So unless these two beneficiaries are getting benefited, why do you make a corridor? So in this case, the Europe is going to get benefited, India is going to get benefited. It is passing through so and so place. Okay, this country is also going to get benefited because they are going to get royalty. Their containers, this thing will get optimized, and so on and so forth. Anytime there's a big, huge amount of trade takes place, okay, it is going to be this thing. So you say, sir, today the economy of Europe is almost stagnating. It doesn't having so and so. The export potential great. India is producing large amount of quality goods. It's looking for a market in Europe. It will help both the countries. Okay, and then the other issues of technical nature, of financing and other things so and so. But this couldn't have been possible if the initiative has not been taken by the G20. This could not have been taken at the UN level because there is no economic things there. So this was the right forum, and nobody questions this because G20 started as a economic thing. Its agenda still remains, though it is converting into a lot of politics and geopolitics, etc. But otherwise, people will question, why are you bringing an economic thing unnecessarily? So we played on this issue. And this is one of the trade between India and Europe likely to go to 40%. Okay, there's a full paper by the Niti Aayog on this issue. You must type Niti Aayog and see the benefits, economic benefits of the IMEC. Okay, so this is what has been going on, and the Global Fuel Alliance is another big thing initiative you have taken, but I think we're still a long way to go on the Global Biofuel Alliance. But the good part is that there are many countries of the G20 who actually supported this idea. The number of countries who supported this idea was more than IMEC. We had to go to last where actually for two things, IMEC and the to get a statement on Ukraine. Okay, neutral statement in Ukraine. It had to be fought to the last extent because the Chinese were not on it. But this had a immediate acceptance, and this is what the effect that is going to have as far as India is concerned. And India is also looking for great amount of things into the solar, the renewable energy systems. Okay, and is expecting to be. I mean, already becoming a green, energy leader. So, Global Biofuel Alliance has got expectations, but it's yet to take off this thing. These points of Delhi declarations, I would like you to basically home on to the sustainable and balanced inclusive growth. The second point, this is very important, and then come to the issue of Green Development Pact, wherein 5.8 to 5.9 trillion are being earmarked till 2030. And obviously, the third is the reforms of the UN General Assembly, okay, and the UNSC reforms, which are this thing. So, there are the three major takeaways: sustainable growth, green development project, and reforms of the multilateral institutions. Because this is the first time that a collective body has actually agreed in writing in principle that you must go in for the UNSC reforms. Earlier, it was being proposed by the respective countries per se. India bolta tha, Brazil bolta tha, sab kuch hai. But the first time a collective forum where everybody has signed saying that we must go in for the UNGO reforms. And now with Africa in our kitty, which I expect that is going to support, we are expecting that our entry into the UNSC as a permanent member is likely to pave the way, though it's not still easy. There's a lot of things there because nobody wants to leave power. Who wants to give a veto power, additional veto power to a country like India? So these some points of the Delhi Declaration, this thing should, this is a definite question anywhere for that matter, at least for next 2 years. चाहे इंटरव्यू हो, चाहे तुम्हारा रिटन टेस्ट हो, चाहे जो भी कुछ. And out of the 3 points, you have to, make a real point in the interview, get onto this. Okay, I finished. If you have any questions on G20, we can handle. Yeah. Or tired of listening? You should think I'm tired of talking. Hmm. Yeah. No. Any questions? Huh? You want to ask? No. Fully satisfied. No, I'm sure you must be knowing a lot because it's been recent. You must have all read it a long time back. But should you have anything, any pertinent question, you can think. Otherwise, you can put down an email or something. We'll try to come back to you. But to sum it up, we handle the geopolitical dimensions of the neighborhood. Okay, the regional dynamics per se. And this, if you are clear on this regional dynamics which constitute about the countries around us, nearly 50% of the questions in an interview will be based on this or related to this. This is my experience having seen so and so. घूम घाम के वहीं पर आ जाता है. People will very less ask you something what is happening in Europe, something happening in Africa or America, something, unless it's a very major incident which is taking place. Otherwise, we expect people to know the fundamentals and the paradigms of relationship with neighbors and understand deeper into it. I've given you just the broad framework, but what you have to do is you have to build up the broad framework with statistics, and that's when fingertips. And in an interview, don't start with statistics because sometimes it takes away the interview in a different direction. If you make one mistake, and these are always debatable things. One member will say, no, I think you are incorrect. Then you will start to justify, no sir, I read in the so and so, it's so and so karke. Okay, avoid starting with statistics unless you're asked for. This is the clue I'm telling you in any interview, not in this, any interview. Okay, always start with broader concepts first. And that broader concept will only come through once you know the fundamental state. Then wait for the board member, let him take the deal. Then he wants to ask you. Suri se tum wo sir wo G20 happened on so and so date and so date in Delhi, 20 countries came and so and so company, it happened in Delhi, so and so Biden आ गया था, फलाना आ गया था, सबका नाम ले लोगे, ठीक है ना? So actually you have taken away your time of the interviewing officer and may not be required. He must be wanting to ask you something else. He just given you G20 as a prelude. Do you know that G20 took place in India? Yes, sir, I know G20. Okay, very nice. How many? He will ask you a settling down question. How many countries attended and what do you think how it went off so and so? Okay. Third question, you should be going for an analytical. Now tell me, what is your impression of the IMEC? Do you think it will succeed? Because we don't ask you fact there. We are asking you some controversial thing there. And IMEC is again a question mark. GBA is again a question mark. So we want people, we have got something to test your analytical ability. We have a job to do also. Na? When we want to test you and give you marks also. Okay. So point is, when the IMEC comes, then you must check what IMEC is just in 2 lines and then immediately get into the analysis quickly. So this is what you have to practice now. Okay. Anything else? Thank you very much for being with me. Okay, it's wonderful interacting with you.